Am I the asshole for not wanting to get a job? My boyfriend, 29 male, and I, 27 female, have been together for 3 years now, and we decided that it was time to live together. For some background information, he's an engineer working for a big company in my country, and I'm a writer. I also own 2 apartments in a very popular and nice area in the city where we live that I rent for extra income. They belong to my grandparents, and as the only grandchild, I inherited them when they died. Even though the pandemic hit my country hard, I did not experience any difficulties because my tenants have kept paying me rent. Therefore, my income hasn't changed at all. I'm not a millionaire by any means, but I can live comfortably just renting my properties. On to the main issue. We decided that I would move to my boyfriend's flat as it is bigger than the one that I currently live in, and we agreed that we would go 50-50 on everything. Rent, utilities, groceries, etc. I would do more household chores than him since I work from home, but I had no problem with this, of course. However, my boyfriend is now saying that I should look for a real job because it would be unfair that you stay home all day doing nothing while I work. I'm currently working with my editor to finish the first novel in my series, which will consist of 3 books, so it's not like I do nothing all day. I refuse to do so because 1, I do have a real job and an extra source of income, and 2, I can pay my share of the living costs without any problem. He insists that I'm being unreasonable. Am I the asshole? In the comments, Gandalf Magic Fruit says, "Not the asshole. He sounds like an ass." And OP says, "He's being one right now for sure." Ugh, is he always so dismissive of your work? Is there long-term potential in a partner who has no respect for your vocation? Not the asshole. OP says, "He's never been like this. I don't know where this is coming from, honestly." Not the asshole whatsoever. He's being extremely rude. Being a writer is a job. You also have a steady source of income, and you don't do nothing. You work hard. He's throwing a fit. Stand your ground and explain to him that writing is absolutely a real job. You absolutely do work. You're being very fair with the chores and money, and that you will not go get a different job. If he doesn't respect that, consider if this relationship is healthy or not. OP says, "Thank you. I'm starting to reconsider this relationship. I'm honestly at a loss for words right now, and it seems that this is the hill that he is willing to die on. I'm gonna go have a long talk with him." That's fair enough. This is just good general relationship advice to fall back on if your partner doesn't respect the work that you do, especially given that it is different and not normal. What other choice do you have? It seems like OP has had talks with him. She has tried to connect with him and get him to understand that, no, this is not fake work. I'm not just sitting around at home all day doing nothing. I have income sources. I am very lucky and fortunate to be in the position that I am in. But in saying all of this, me personally, it makes me question, why do I have to justify my existence to my partner, the person that I am closest with, that I have a bond with? Why is it, now that we are moving in together, I have to justify my place in their life? That's what it feels like. And that doesn't seem like a healthy thing to do with a partner, at least in this situation. I get it when it comes to other situations. But right here, with everything that OP has told me, there is no need for a justification. What he's doing and saying is incredibly disrespectful. I'd give him the chance to see the light and change his opinions on things, but if he stands his ground and he doubles down on this, then you question whether you stay in this relationship or not. As it stands right now, whatever is going on, OP, not the asshole, I get where you're coming from. And now, onto the update. So I posted this some days ago, and a lot of things have happened since then. Of course, I sat down with my boyfriend to talk about his sudden change of attitude towards my job as a writer, and I told him that it was very disrespectful to tell me that I have to get a real job when I already have one. I told him that I was considering ending the relationship too because of that. However, I also asked him if there was something that he wasn't telling me because this behavior was not normal at all. At first, he doubled down on saying that there was nothing that he wasn't telling me, but after insisting a bit more, he admitted that he was jealous of me. He said that he hates his job. This was quite a surprise, I'm not gonna lie, and he resents seeing me so happy and fulfilled with mine. The fact that I have another source of income only makes his jealousy worse because I'm pretty independent and can stop working whenever I want. His words, not mine. However, he said that he was willing to let me continue writing if I also work somewhere else to make things fair. I was flabbergasted. I love this word, to say the least. So yeah, I broke up with him. It hurts, but I'll live. Maybe this will give me ideas for another novel. Thank you all for your advice and kind words. They have been really helpful. In the comments, That Significance 150 says, Lamau? I'm so glad to read that you dumped him. Imagine being so mad that your significant other is happy, and then straight up coming out and saying that you are willing to let her go on with an activity that is both fulfilling and a source of income, as long as she made an effort to make herself more miserable. You don't need this kind of toxic, controlling bullshit in your life. Imagine admitting to all of this jealousy, and instead of realizing how childish and ridiculous he is after saying it out loud, you still double down on making your significant other miserable just so that it's more fair. Good on you, OP. Godspeed. OP says, to be fair, I thought about helping him with the issues with his job, but then he dropped the bomb. The audacity. Worldbound says, so she would be splitting the bills and doing more chores, and he still wasn't happy? Because he hates his job, he also thinks that she needs to get a job that she hates. Misery loves company, I guess. Except he's alone now. Yes, she got lucky by inheriting apartments that she could rent out. However, that's no reason for him to demand that she get a regular job. If she did, he would probably then complain that she makes more money than him. So he hates his job, wants OP to be miserable like him, and then thinks that he owns OP. This guy seems to have a talent for always doing the wrong thing. And it's situations like this where I'm reminded why manipulative people lie in the way they do, because if they are honest with themselves that this is the reason they are doing and saying the things that they are doing, it comes off incredibly childish and kind of just sad. Oh, I hate my life. I'm not going to let you do those things because I don't think it's fair. I'm willing to allow you to degrade the quality of your life. What a pathetic loser thing to say. The narcissist's prayer, the Davo, all of that, it's making a lot more sense. Because if you have to be honest with yourself, situations like this arise, and it's so easy for someone with self-esteem to just say, yep, well, I don't like you anymore, and I'm not going to agree with that, so this is the end. Goodbye. If only life was that simple for every single situation, but if it were, I'd be out of a job, so thank you for the content, OP. Thank you to your ex for being the exception to the rule. The largesse of his stupidity knows no bounds, that's for sure. The largesse of his stupidity is rivaled only by his tireless commitment to sharing it. A spectacle that I have come to cherish, much to my cultivated chagrin. If you guys are going to force me to learn new words, I'm going to turn them into poetry. Our next post is by a throwaway account, and it's titled, Am I the asshole for expecting my very rich sister to pitch in on my wedding after she said she would? Hi all. My, female 35, mother married my stepdad when I was 17. He had a daughter from a previous marriage, Ellie, female 29. We were never close because when they moved in with us, Ellie was super clingy, would always follow me around and basically stalk me in my own home. She is your typical know-it-all. She barely left the house, so basically had zero friends that weren't online. Ellie managed to graduate early and get into a really good college on scholarships, and then got a master's there as well. She's in engineering, and her college is apparently one of the best ones for engineering, so straight after graduating she was earning a crazy amount. She's been rubbing this in my face ever since she got the acceptance letter, and when she was home, she was always wearing the university hoodie, always talking about what she's doing at college, sending videos of robots and shit into the family group chat. Now that she's earning so much, it's shit like her paying off our parents' car loans for Christmas, or getting extravagant gifts for everyone. We had a few fights about it, but we always made up. So, on to this year. I got engaged last year in February to my fiancé, male 32. I asked my sister if she would pitch in, and she said she would help out. Knowing she had the money, I got to plan my dream wedding. I was so excited about planning our big day. That was all until I showed her the plans, and she pulled the rug from beneath my feet. She asked me how much I am paying for it. My husband and I didn't do college, so we're not high earners. And I reminded her that she said she would help. She's now saying that she won't help pay for it, and she will, at the absolute most, pay for my dress. I told her it's unfair for her to lie to me and only tell me after planning everything that she isn't actually going to help. She blew up at me over not being close in the past and blaming me for it. It takes two people to bond, but she claims everything is my fault. We argued for a bit, and now she's not even paying for my dress. All the wedding planning that I've done has been for nothing now. My parents are split, with my mum saying that Ellie needs to honor her word and let me have the wedding that I planned, and we all pitch in what we can afford. My stepdad is angry that I asked her in the first place and dug up some old arguments from when I was 17. Am I the asshole for expecting her to do what she said? In the comments, Taliesin says, Info. Was she specific about what she said she'd pay for? If I offer to take my friend out for dinner, he's kind of an asshole if he picks a $75 per plate place. She might have figured that she'd be helping with stuff like hall rental and dress costs, and you decided to soak her. Man, the word soak has been ruined for me after learning about Mormons. Good morning. OP replies, We didn't go over specifics since I asked her right when I started planning and realized it would have had to be very low budget without her help. I asked if she'd be able to pitch in, and she said she could, and then once I knew she was helping and had a lot of money, I planned the wedding that I actually wanted. She never asked me about the costs, since she knew that I was just starting to figure everything out. It wasn't until I went back to her with my final decisions on everything that she yanked the rug from under my feet. You're the asshole. You admit you're not close. Why would she pay? OP says, because she earns a shit ton, and we are family. The only reason she earns more than me is because she got lucky and got into a crazy expensive school on a scholarship. I didn't go to college, so now I should be forced into a wedding that I don't want? You're the asshole. Pay for your own wedding. It's tacky asking her for money. She said she would help out, not pay for your dream wedding. You sound jealous of her hard work and success. OP says, I had to work way harder than her. I've been minimum wage since I was 17, trying to make ends meet. She got handed a scholarship on a silver platter, and now she's set up for life. This isn't how scholarships work. This isn't how college works. Unless you were born into generational wealth, you get what you work for and earn, not what you deserve. This is true for everyone on Earth. OP says, I should have mentioned her college, sorry. She went to MIT, so the job she has now was gotten mainly through connections she made while there. Like, our family isn't generational wealth, but she got the chance to cozy up to those people, and now she's one of them. Share the Wine says, your circumstances in no way entitles you to anyone else's money. Hell, offering to pay for a dress is generous, given you're a stepsister, who, from the sounds of it, treats her poorly. If I were her, I would never bother thinking about you ever again. OP says, I don't treat her poorly. When she first moved in, I admit that I wasn't the kindest to her because I was 17 and she was a freaky kid. She had skipped 2 grades and was a total know-it-all. She had no friends and used to practically stalk me. Always followed me around, asking to hang out with me and my friends, literally never left me alone for 2 years until she made some online friends and glued herself to the computer. Info needed. How much brainwashing did it take to convince your fiancé with the whole stepsister that I've always hated pays for my dream wedding plan? OP says, I never hated her. We just don't click well. I like talking about normal things, and she comes in talking about some science shit that's going to allegedly change the world, or some interesting fact that she learned that everybody must know. She's just a bit grating. I don't hate her, we just don't mesh well. The more OP says, the more I just don't like her. What the hell? You're such a shit person, OP. Thank you for the honesty once again. But it only further backs up my argument of before of like, Damn, these master manipulators be hiding a lot of bullshit, because at least sometimes they're still able to be likable with their lies. Also, no, you didn't have the rug yanked from under your feet. You chose not to communicate with her. There was no conversation about the wedding budget, what you planned to spend the money on, how much money you were going to get from her, how much she was willing to spend. None of that. You just went, "Oh, hey, stepsister, are you able to pitch in?" And she said, "Yeah, I can." That was the conversation. Just because someone has a lot of money doesn't entitle you to it, and it being your wedding does not change things. It wasn't until I went back to her with my final decisions on everything that she yanked the rug from under my feet. You don't deserve the money. You're an asshole. Maybe try being a more likable person. Maybe try talking to her about how much she's willing to provide you for the wedding, and then plan from there. Don't live in ignorance. You are the one that chose to go about this situation the entirely wrong way, and now you're crying and complaining that she's done this to you. You are such a victim. You are the perfect victim in this situation, and you deserve to feel bad from this, and I hope that you learn from this, OP. Crying to the internet like a little baby is not going to fix your terrible decision-making. Apologize, make amends, and stop expecting other people to pay your way through life. And now, on to the update. Obviously, none of you value family. One of you felt the need to track down Ellie and send her the post, which was unnecessary and cruel. She sent me this text yesterday morning with this. "Hey, someone sent me your Reddit post. I'm still processing all the things that you said about me. I knew that you didn't care for me, and I knew you resented me when we were kids. I didn't know that you were capable of denigrating my character to that extent. I've never done anything but treat you like a sister. Using my real name, all my personal information, to the extent that someone could Google me and track me down that easily? You know I'm a private person. What if someone from work sees it? What if fucking anyone sees it? I left a comment in anger, but I deleted it. I cannot believe that you would make this so public, and I should not be stooping to your level. As for the wedding, you're on your own. I am not paying for anything, attending, or participating in any way. I don't deserve any of this. I'm blocking your number, and I would appreciate it if you didn't try to contact me through other means. I've told Dad that if he wants to see me again, he can come visit me. Ideally, we will not see each other again." Back to OP. "I talked to my fiancé and told him through tears what Ellie had done. Even he turned on me. He started screaming at me about how I shouldn't have asked Ellie and how I didn't tell him during the planning that she was paying for it. I tried to explain to him, but he wouldn't stop screaming at me. He called me names, screamed at me while I was already crying, and then left. She has everyone wrapped around her finger. She's so manipulative, I don't know who I can even turn to right now because she has them all convinced that she's so perfect. My mum is the only one that I can trust right now. I've gone to stay with her for a while. Ellie has been ruining my life since I was 17, and now she's managed to ruin my relationship. Me when I'm so delusional. Me when I live in the land of delusion. I cannot believe that you people have sided with her when all she's ever done is destroy my life. She's off in a whole other state, and once again is facing no consequences to her actions. I found her work email online from a thing that she published and messaged her. She still hasn't responded, but I'll let you all know when she does." In the comments, Grumpy McGrumpypants says, quote, "Obviously none of you value family." I snorted audibly. Oh god, the woe is me. Why is everyone against me? Attitude is exhausting. Lady, you're a terrible human, and people are reacting appropriately to that. OP's family, you're the asshole. OP's fiancé, you're the asshole. Strangers on the internet, who only know what the OP has told them, you're the asshole. OP be like, everyone is wrong except for me. OP's comments reek of jealousy, not only towards her sister's earnings, but also her obvious generosity. She would call shit really anything she does, even when it's other people who are benefiting from that generosity. And she has the gall to pretend that her sister told her that she would pay for anything when she only told her that she would participate, which means that she was still free to choose to pay for whatever she wanted. It's obviously that OP tried to exploit her sister's generosity by asking for things that were clearly too expensive. I would cut contact at the speed of light. I would too, and I think OP's getting everything that she deserved. I actually don't know how it's possible to live in such denial, be faced with so many conflicting scenarios, be told to your face that you were the one doing wrong here, why you did wrong, how you did wrong, and how that made other people feel, and still be like, actually, no, I didn't do any of that, you're lying. You're still ruining my life. And at the same time, I think it's interesting that OP doesn't specifically state what these people have done to ruin her life, how they have systematically gotten in there and torn her apart, as if they're the ones, the agents of chaos, getting in there and directly affecting her. Did they reach into your brain, OP, and remove logic and sanity? Are they the ones that lobotomized you on this planet Earth? Please come back and explain exactly what they did to tear your life apart, besides live their lives and exist. I would love to know. You are quite the exemplary person, OP. Yet another person where the largesse of their stupidity knows no bounds. How have I been graced with a twofer today? This is amazing. Thank you, OP. Thank you for the wildly entertaining story. One last footnote. OP is the living embodiment of that meme where the guy rides his bike, puts a stick into the bike wheel, falls on his ass and says, "This is someone else's fault. Ow, how could they do this to me?" That's you, OP. And everyone's laughing. Our next post is by user Blast from the Past, and it's titled, Ex-wife drops back into my life after 6 years. My ex and I met in college and were madly in love all 4 years of school. We got married after graduation in 2010. In 2013, I caught her in a year-plus affair with a coworker. I was crushed. She said they loved each other, was soulmates, didn't mean to hurt anyone, blah blah blah. We divorced only 3 months later. I was crushed. It was the worst time in my life. I mourned for over a year. I heard they got married. One day, I decided that I was tired of being sad, so I completely let go of her in my heart, got off my butt, and truly moved on. I'm a programmer by profession and decided to take a pre-sales solution consultant gig with one of the biggest software companies on the planet. That job has been amazing. I've traveled the entire world, every continent, and all the major cities. Life's been a great adventure. I never did date seriously or remarry. I'm not opposed to casual dating and have dated beautiful women all over the globe. After my experience with marriage, I decided that that wasn't my path and have been happy. Sometimes lonely, especially during holidays, but overall happy. I had decided enough traveling for a while, so I switched roles and am based in a major city in the US. I'm sitting in a diner on a Saturday morning eating breakfast and reading the news. Facebook, Reddit, etc., and somebody says, "OP? Oh my god." The voice sounded like one of my women friends at work, so I looked up to say hi, and my jaw dropped. It's my ex-wife. Here I am, 2,000 plus miles away from our old hometown, haven't seen her in almost 6 years, and there she is. I was dumbstruck. All I could manage was, hi. I hate to say it, but she looked beautiful. She said I looked amazing. She asked if I was busy and said that she didn't want to bother me, but that she'd love to talk. I said sure. We ended up talking for over 2 hours and continued for another couple of hours when we went for a walk in a close-by park. We were making small talk about mutual acquaintances, my stories of traveling the globe, everything but the elephant in the room. She finally asks me if I had gotten remarried at any point. I said no. Once was enough, and she seemed sad by that. We walked in silence for maybe a minute, and she said, "I have to say that I'm so sorry for what I did to you. You didn't deserve it. It was incredibly shitty and has haunted me since it happened. You didn't do anything wrong." I said you fell in love with someone else and married them. I couldn't stop you from doing that. I wanted you to be happy. And then I asked, are you happy? And she laughed one of those joke laughs and was like, huh. She then told me the other man and her fought constantly, and he ended up cheating on her and leaving her 2 years into marriage. I said, I'm sorry that happened to you. I know how bad that can hurt. She said she knew. That when her heart was broken, all she could think of was that she had done the same thing to me, and that tortured her. She said she fell apart for almost a year, engaged in very self-destructive behavior, and then went to therapy to figure out why she's so screwed up. She said that was extremely helpful, and several years ago, she finally grew up and holds herself accountable for her own actions now. She had ended up moving to this city because she has an aunt that she loves that lives there, and after her second divorce before the age of 30, she needed to make big changes in her life. The changes were noticeable. She's definitely more mature. I had to go and get ready for the evening with friends, so we said our goodbyes. We exchanged contact info and agreed to have coffee and talk more. We've been doing that. We're both single, and I guess there's no harm. I can tell that she wants more from me. She wants me to want her back. She drops hints as big as the Pacific Ocean. I'm not dumb. I have to admit that she still has that certain something that just makes my heart skip a beat. Something that I can't describe. Something that I hadn't found in anyone else since her. I guess it's chemistry between us. To be honest, I want to be more than friends. I want to hold her and kiss her, and she wants that too, but as of yet, I've made 0 moves. What holds me back? Fear. I'm afraid of getting hurt again. If she had been a casual girlfriend that dumped me, I would have shook it off and moved on quickly. She wasn't though. She was my wife and the love of my life. I used to dream of her somehow coming back into my life. Well, here it is, and I'm scared shitless. I don't know if I can give her that much of myself again. I'm way more protective of my heart now. We've both grown a lot, and the past seems like 100 years ago. If she wasn't who she is, I'd already be head over heels in love. I'm struggling with, do I pursue love with her again, or do I leave the past in the past? It sounds cliché, but it just had to be her. Of all the people that I could have met here, it had to be her. In the comments, Fatboy Slim says, personally, getting back with an ex is like eating your own vomit. Sagas are never good. Remember, you got divorced for a reason beyond your control. Remember the pain that you went through. I believe that you're in love with the idea of her, and not the reality. 2 divorces before 30 is a trend. I'd keep this as friends only, if that. Who doesn't love romance? But life isn't a rom-com. 2 divorces before 30 is a lot of baggage. If he hadn't cheated, they would still be married. She didn't leave because she still loved you. You only crossed her mind after he did to her what she did to you. Your life went on a dizzying upward trajectory after the divorce. Hers spiraled down, and she lived a depressed, reckless life. She's at the bottom, you're at the top. Why wouldn't she want to be a part of what you have? Despite the problems in therapy, one of the best life lessons that never fails is, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Good luck. I feel like that's some good advice right there. I see where they're coming from. I understand why OP feels the way that they do, and if OP does decide to take them back, let that be a lesson learned, you know? Sometimes people do have to touch the hot surface to learn the hard way. Oh, god damn it, maybe the warning sign had a point. Maybe I will hurt myself if I touch the hot surface. No, I can't read. Surely it won't happen again if I touch it again. I will be part of the 0%, in which when they touch the hot surface, I will not be burnt. Okay, we got a lot of people living in delusion in today's episode, guys. I'm just trying to understand where they're coming from. I think if you recognize that you're only in love with the idea of that person, and not the reality of who that person is now, that makes it harder for you to separate the art from the artist, so to say. Editor Marky here. I meant easier. Easier to separate the art from the artist. I don't know what I was smoking when I said that. And now, onto the update. I've gotten so many requests for an update. I have one, but was hesitant to post because in this sub, I would take a lot of grief. The update is that we got remarried over the Christmas holidays, and we're now pregnant. Oh my god, he's mpreg, that's crazy. She's grown a lot as a person, and so have I. We are not kids anymore. We're in an adult relationship, and it's much better than before. Throw in the chemistry that we've always had, and it's wonderful. I couldn't be happier. I do want to address the accusations that she tracked me down. She didn't. She had moved to our current city before I did. She really had moved on, went to therapy, and had grown a lot as a person. I just happened to be in that diner. We think that it had to be fate or some type of intervening force. Neither of us are religious, but the astronomical odds of us running into each other, both single and in a city that neither of us had ever lived in, are hard to ignore. Obviously, the universe had a plan for us. I wish all of you good luck. My only advice is don't close your heart. You never know who will stroll into your life. In the comments, Nobody No Crime says, "The feeling of impending doom is strong with this one, but maybe I'm just jaded." Nah, I feel like this relationship is like playing Minesweeper on Expert. Sure, there is a path to a healthy, stable relationship, but it's littered with obstacles. OP is the definition of insane. Go ahead and do the same thing you did before, but hope for a different result? See how that works out for ya. Ding ding ding. Did you catch the slip the OP's ex made? She wasn't haunted until it happened to her, and realized she was 100% at fault and to blame. I wonder how long it'll take to slip back into old bad habits / old routines. I hope I'm wrong. That's often a catalyst for growth though. It would have been ideal if she never did it in the first place, but sometimes you need to experience the other side of something like that to realize that whatever justification you had for your behavior doesn't prevent the other person from suffering. Something The Last of Us Part 2. You know what, guys? I'm happy for them. I'm happy that they're back together, both of them are pregnant, and that they are happily married once again. I hope that OP also comes back one day and lets us know the next chapter of their life and what that may hold for them. They are the 1 in 10 dentists that don't recommend the Colgate Power Fusion Plus toothpaste that also bleaches other areas of your body. And you know, as I say, let 1,000 blossoms bloom. I'm sure that relationships can work in these instances, but damn, taking back your wife that cheated on you, for her to have that same thing happen to her, and then being like, but we're mature now, we've learned from our mistakes, this will never happen again, that is such a dice roll, but fair enough. That is your life to live, that is not mine. Thank God it's not mine. I actually don't think I could in good conscience do what you have done, but that's fine, I am not you. And as I said, maybe I'm just built different. I'm built wrong. I am blessed with not having that amount of complication in my life. So thank you for existing in the way that you do, OP. Good luck and many blessings to you and your wife. And that's all I have for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I do be yapping a lot. I really didn't think that I would use the word largesse in a sentence anymore, and I don't plan to continue using it. I just thought that it was funny. And yes, I will continue to be upset at having new words to add to my vocabulary thrust upon me without asking, much like I was forced into this world without my permission. My antinatalism knows no bounds. How dare I be born? That's all I have to say, guys. Thank you for coming again to my yap session. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.